pressure on him this weekend. How do you think he'll cope with that, and how do you think he'll react? But we need to remember that last year that is definitely the Fórmula 1 Mercedes on this track. Right up there, so at the end of the round, at least it's an experience on this track with Fórmula 1. And we need to pursue that is improving in performance, in qualification sport, is getting the speed and is better every race. And then they can count also on Rasen, that is delivering every single race this season. Holding the championship at the moment, second as a team on Mercedes, just behind the McLaren. I mean, they are in April at the moment. It seems that everything is working well, and I hope for Antonelli beyond podium is going to be a dream for us. But we need to remember that Mercedes last year not so positive here in Imola. I say because it seems to have a slightly greater operating window this season, that it is said to be relatively warm, not quite as hot though as we saw in Miami. I think a few teams will be claiming a bit of a home advantage here, because of course Haas also have part of their factory here in Marinetta, was making sure the crew around the team aren't getting known down here in the paddock. As Verstappen was talking about that in the press conference, he was also asked about the C6 tyre. Isn't it quite curious? Yeah, it will be. In steps off to compound the missing previously here in Imola, forcing teams to perhaps throw the dice on a few stops. It's so exciting, isn't it? So two things. One, we don't have that C3 anymore. So Sunday's race can either be a one-stopper using the medium hard, which is now the C5, C4, or a two-stopper. And speaking of the teams, we're still not even sure if it's a two-stopper if they're using two hards or two mediums. Especially a lot of running on that medium tire tomorrow to work up just exactly what the degradation is going to be. But that's not all the excitement, Laura, because the C6, if you talk to people in the paddock, people aren't even sure if it's going to be able to be significantly faster across the lap. So on paper, it should be about 2/10 faster than its C5, or potentially not even sheer medium in qualifying. It's so exciting. It's all to play for. And it's a very short chunk as well. So traffic, track limits, rookies. Can't wait. They're great padding from Pirelli as well to introduce it here at, of course, Montreal and Monaco as well. It's Steve is a sort of street circuit tyre. You're seeing it here in Imola this weekend. So for the tyre enthusiasts, live route, like all of us, and you're out there, it's going to be a fascinating weekend. And I'm going to go now on to Aston Martin. You've read Fernando Alonso earlier, Lawrence. An upgrade here? What did he have to say about it? Yeah, they're both Fernando and Lance have been itching for an upgrade all year. This is the first one they got of any note in terms of an update. Well, this development is developed in the old wind tunnel, but refined in the new wind tunnel. So it's the starting to eventually feed all this money that Nitro has poured into the team, coming onto the racetrack and developing. Obviously, Fernando wanted to play it down. He didn't want to get too excited, but it's a neutral and it's half body work. So you'll see the car looking visually different. Large, get it to my. Fernando will run a back test with the Miami specs, so they'll learn about it, and they've got enough parts there if they want to keep it for the weekend. But boy, do they need it. You know, they're down, way down in the construction championship to where they expect to be. They've not scored for the last four Grand Prix, not including the sprint where Lance scored. And they need to do something. They can't throw all their eggs in the 2026 basket, because this is Aston Martin. This is a team that put so much money into it, and Lawrence Stroll, frankly, won't accept a disappointing finish in the constructors. So while Adrian Newey is focusing on 26, Lee said that there's plenty of innovations and avoid regulations to really kind of get spicy and maybe find a cool loophole to really exploit. They're not really focusing, he's not really focusing on the 2025 car beyond some lunchtime conversations. And I think that's interesting that he's still having a say, but his main focus is on 26. And there is still a small team, dedicated team like from 25 to try and salvage this season. I can't believe I'm saying salvage race 7 of 24 race calendar, but that's where they're at the minute, not because it's so competitive in the midfield. And I also saw in the Aston Martin interview that Adrian Newey is done, and then they've released this week so that's the first time we'll see Adrian Newey at a track, but the input that he's having into that 2025 car today limited to lunchtime session. But I don't know if Aston Martin are partial to a long or a short thing. They could well do long sessions. But look, that battle down between P7 to P10 is incredibly tight. We say it time and time again. Every single point and place it matters here in Formula 1. All right, then, this is the Emilia-Romaña Grand Prix. This is Imola, and here is the schedule for you for this weekend, our first in Europe. SD1 with early early action at 1 as they steam before SD2 at 4:75. SD3 then slightly early time at 12:15. 3 on there build up, and then pre-qualifying at 3:30 p.m. for the pre-show. Qualifying hour begins at 4 p.m. Very important here, don't forget, can't overtake, and the post-qualifying show immediately afterwards. Your pre-race show will come on Sunday at 2 p.m. and then be Emilia-Romaña, time 3 starting at 3 p.m. with the post-race show immediately afterwards. All right, well, you've heard who the hotel staff believe will win this weekend, and that is Kimi Antonelli. I'd imagine an Italian may well say that this weekend. I asked him how he thought Ferrari were doing. He said they cannot win this season with this car. Very certain about simple. I'd love to hear your predictions, please. David Leclerc y Norris. And when does she battle in the top place? So, you don't know what is used to beat. Well, they're due from Norris, too. Okay, you want to see some battles, we may as well see them brief. Like, you know what? I'd love to agree with the hotel stuff. I'd just love to have a sideline no Colleen on the Ferrari side of things. Do you know what? I want to see Oscar go for this charge. You know, 3 races in a row. I want to see Humuli step up. Mate, it's a championship battle. You know, standards authority, but don't ever discount the fact that someone on the track like this is technical. So I think it might be our 3 protagonist again, though. Kimi Kapal. You know, I think it's going to be close.
Between the two and I think they just essentially got the edge here, but I'm interested to see how much Red Bull will push past. They've got an upgrade here this weekend. They've been not my friend and hoping they make that step to give Max Verstappen a bit more confidence in the car. I think Oscar's got momentum, so I think it's going to be difficult to beat him. But Lando, like Davide says, is so strong around here, so we can actually get a really good fight here. So I'm sitting on the fence a little bit here, and I think it's going to be a fight between Oscar and Lando to the win. And I think Max is going to be in amongst it. And I think that's what the quite exciting. And about to join you on the fence. I agree. I think we're going to see a McLaren win, but I'm not quite sure who. And then Max Verstappen on the podium as well. But don't forget, you won the last 3 in the Emilia-Romaña Grand Prix. And alternatively, of course, the 2023 race, which had to be cancelled due to the flooding in the area here. So very much recovering from those floods. But wonderful to be back here in this, the final year of the Emilia-Romaña Grand Prix contract. Well, from us here, then, we'll head into practice tomorrow. Thanks very much to Lawrence, to Ruth, and to Davide, to all of you for watching as well. And we'll see you tomorrow for SB1 and SB2 here in Imola.
back, you're not see it. This is the auto drop in the name to finish on Dino Ferrari. This is the F1 3. In a week of landmark birthdays, we make 75 years and 5 days since it all began. Today, Formula One returns for its latest chapter, racing in a sporting crucible that has witnessed in awe the birth of rivalries in red, in white, defensive brilliance in blue, and the inescapableness of an icon. Formula One history is properties woven into the fabric named for Enzo and Dino Ferrari. It's time to make some more motor racing memories. We await the championship leader versus the world champion, racing down the track on the first braking zone on this circuit that runs to 3 miles or 4.9 kilometers. After only the weekend chats at the C6 tire, it is the C5 and the C4 that we expect to be running on the cars with a one-stop strategy today. Beyond the terracotta rooftops, we come to a racetrack that broke ground in 1950. It makes sense that we're racing here. One of the classics for round 7 of the World Championship in 2025. From the back to the front, Yuki Tsunoda will be finding himself on the pit lane, waiting for the green light at the end. All of them, and a lot of controversy there, but he starts in 19th on the grid. Esteban Ocon is 18th. Nico Hulkenberg, D17 for Sauber. Franco Colapinto returns to Formula One, is in 60th position. And then in Liam Lawson's car will line up to is 15th. Gabriel Dean Fabetto is 40th. Michael Hira, Kimi Antonelli missing Cheers for the first time since the opening round of the year. For the first time in Imola F1 history, there's non-Ferrari in the top 10. Inexplicable. Pierre Gasly is in 10th position. Isaac Hadjar continues to be strong, won that pace with P9. Lance Stroll reached Q3 for the first time this season. Alexander Albon is hopeful that Williams have fixed a fuel leak. In P6, Carlos Sainz finds himself in the top 6 for the third track free in a round, and welcome back to Fernando Alonso. 20 years on from when he won the Grand Prix here, he starts in the top 5. These best seasons behind bars. Lando Norris is 4th, disappointed with won that pace again. George Russell is the medium to get to 3rd. And once again, it's Piastri next to Verstappen, but they have never lined up on the front row in this order, with Piastri the lead car thanks to his 3rd career pole position. In the commentary box, I'm Alex Jakes, and this is some venue to enjoy Formula One racing. It is time to check in with our co-commentators today, starting with a man who won here back in 1998, the last time David Coulthard, the McLaren kind of the top step here. Incredible, isn't it, that they've had such a lean spell in Formula One, as well as not coming here for a few years, but they are on the march as we look back at Lando Norris as he tries to figure out, okay, yesterday didn't quite come together, but every race is an opportunity, and supposed to have an amazing ability to just completely reset the night. It's almost like an etch a sketch. If anyone's old enough to remember those races that you'd write on and then just pull this little lever across, the mind goes blank, and then it just goes into race mode. That's man there. You've got his Piastri. Just quietly going about, excuse me, get my words out. It's quietly going about being brilliant. He is the driver to beat. Julian Palmer is alongside us once again at a racetrack that you always enjoyed behind the wheel. What makes Imola so special for those competing in the field? It's just so age speed. I mean, this is a circuit lined with grass and gravity, the barriers are close, and jeopardy as a driver is kind of tough. It is the challenge of hurtling around up to 200 miles per hour into Tamarello, threading your needle through some of the faster chicanes. Yes, massive undulations as well. It's difficult to overtake, but it might be possible today with a big old headwind down towards the first braking zone when the DRS is in play. So I reckon we got the recipe for a decent road break today. And we are ready to head on to the formation that Alistair Piastri's car determined the pointage, though. I'm lined up. Never with his grid box, but a slight angle pointed in the direction Max Verstappen. As we go to the formation lap, is that a town of what we can expect in about 3 minutes' time? It's a difficult start. You can see the grid here, and then he just ambles to the right-hand side first, which will give Verstappen from second a chance in on the side. That's very good goal to Enzo. Thank you. These Alpine team who rebuilt the car after a big crash at the Tamburello chicane. That would be our first turn on the racetrack. Yuki Tsunoda had a massive accident rolling the car across the tyre barrier at the second chicane, named for Gilles Villeneuve, and you're watching the climb out of the hill out of Tosa past the Tifosi to Piriton. So that starts the crucial. First of all, X to the right, then it's back towards the left, and where Piastri will have the inside line for. It's very difficult to go right around the outside of this first one. It's not a mastered break, it's narrow, it's a free bar chicane at Tamarello. It's all about the second phase of that start. Not necessarily the reaction time, and how well you can then release the clutch and feed in the frontal, because it is a long run to the first braking zone. We have seen the lead change in 2 of the last 4 stunts. We have indeed, and DC, I remember it yesterday, and you've got a massive launch off the line from the second round in order to take the lead around this place. Yeah, I think Ben and Lewis Lees, there was a lot more sort of variation in the starts. They're so sophisticated though, the drivers are so consistent in that start procedure. We do tend to see what was able to happen back there in the 90s, but never seen ever. And as Julian just pointed out, top position is no guarantee they can be beating this Grand Prix at the end of the first lap. The other thing I'm excited to see here is how we see Piastri under pressure from Verstappen. The last 2 races in Impact X3 has had the measure of Verstappen. He made it on the inside, second place in Jeddah. He passed Max in Miami, but both the time he was attacking. This time, it is the man lining up here with things to lose, and Max can go on the attack, and the psychological shift there, I think it is relevant, especially when he got someone as hungry as Max, to get into the lead at the first corner. Only the relevant drivers, by the way, the top 11 start on medium tyres. Their strategy looks negated in the early part. Well, they slightly longer wait, of course, for the pole line, sitting on the grid, waiting for Tsunoda, who's bringing the tack road, just coming through the second of the Vatses. So, engine temp goes up slightly. Tires, of course, drew down ever so slightly, but that's a nice chase tact as they make their way round to the final formation. Just to cover off, we're expecting a one-stop. The highest driver on the grid on the hard tyre is Lewis Hamilton, the Whitewater hard tyre for Lewis Hamilton, and many outside of the top 10. The highest runner starting on the hard compound is the 7-time world champion, racing on Italian soil for the first time in his scarlet Ferrari. Yuki Tsunoda has made his way to the pit lane. 19 drives on the grid. Green flag at the back. We Go Racing is 5 lights time at historic Imola. Yeah, John Milovic. Just it's going to be close. Momentarily, he's up to second place. The press back charge. Take them lead. The body feeling what the Diego road excite 2 cars into Fórmula, and then one of the incredible time. the race lead as well. But under Oscar Piastri's no, that was exciting. Absolutely. Well, it's also a team commitment. There is no way out of that. You're either coming through or you're in the gravel. He's prepared to risk all to win this Grand Prix. A long way to go. 63 racing laps, but in terms of stamping his authority on a restart, I cannot believe what I've just seen. You're listening to a winner of a Grand Prix around Imola in Ruchas, and a danger-ridden finisher to take the lead. The only lead position change that we see was for the lead. Gasly's up to 9th, and Charles Leclerc is up to 10th position, and almost a couple of places. And that was a great start for Verstappen, who needed to push the line by 9 ticks of a second. That was like Piastri's move on Norris in Monza last year, the last Italian race that we had for the race equal. Back to him was from further back. Must have been not been expected that one. He had his mirrors put across Russell, who was right under the rear wing of the McLaren. And suddenly Max sends it in, and he's disappearing up the run already, 1.2 seconds clear. Terence has been enabling Esteban Ocon. He's the half strider who was coming to the pit lane, and he has gone very, very early to the hard tire. This is Max Verstappen around the outside. Even in slow-mo, I cannot believe what I'm witnessing. Brilliant piece of awareness from Piastri, because of course there's no point of having contact with Max. Max absolutely committed here, and well, Julian, you told us you've seen this before, but as much as I must have been talking up to that moment, because this to me feels like I've just seen something for the first time. Unbelievable. It's a genius bird. The genius is that he's attacked the brakes and the entry of the corner so aggressively that by the time he has to realize what's happened, he can't do anything about it, because if he cuts off the brakes, if he then runs Max off, Max is johnnied off on the way into the corner. He's actually ahead of the 8th. Then really, it's going to be a collision. If Oscar then does something about it, the reaction's too slow. And Max just knew exactly where he could brake, cut the last possible moment to do that, and kept it on the track, kept it as under white eyes. Exquisite. Jimmy Antonelli side by side, Lewis Hamilton, Ferrari versus Mercedes, and Antonelli finds himself in T12 at the bottom. Antonelli being chased by Hamilton. They continue on. Hamilton, who has lost the position from where he started in this Grand Prix, and it's the David team from the Locals and the local hero gone in Bologna, just a few miles down the road. He had his school friends with him on Thursday. He was throwing caps into the crowd at turns up, and this is getting very close between Charles Leclerc, who's looking to the inside. He forgot his track down through the gravel. Losing positions. Leclerc up to 9th position. Hadjar gains turns, and it's Antonelli now at 11th. Hamilton is dropped, and both letters greeted by Gasly chose to try and hang on and paid the price. Yeah, no foul there. That was just top racing in a very high-speed corner. Cars, baby, with fuel, of course. And Gasly would have just been slightly off that race line, and the men chirped up to the gravel. It's so frustrating, isn't it, Julie? When you just trickle into the gravel, because you've got to go in to come out, and you know you'll lose your time. Yeah, as soon as you drop a wheel there, you're going by 8 in a high-speed corner like there it's at. Brave stuff from Gasly, possibly unnecessary, really. There's the Ferrari now, there's gained 2 positions. Remember Gasly having the contact on that Honda Sonata in Jeddah? It's a couple of times now he's had a top 10 position, and he's lost it by fighting colours of Red Bull or Ferrari. Top 8 quicker than the Audi. Carlos Sainz has talked about that earlier in the year. He went from what was then front-running Ferrari team to the midfields, and he just told the other to recalibrate slightly when to pick your matchups. Yeah, maybe he thinks the Ferrari's fair game today. To be fair, I mean, Leclerc's found 2 places that was clearly unqualified by the Alpine yesterday. We were expecting Ferrari to have good race pace. Hamilton has lost the position to Antonelli in the start. They both on the hard tyres and remained the front-running cars on the hard tyre. And I think Leclerc making a little bit of headway, did a progress early on, and you can see he's immediately you do that a lot sort ahead. I think keep rules a great place to punch through them. Yeah, he's going to have to make use of those tyres as well, knowing that the light of them isn't going to be as good as the hard. I just have thought to Piastri, I spoke to him on the grid. There just drives me as much as he said, well, even if I don't get the first father, it's a long race, long afternoon. So I genuinely did think he was about to get overtaken by the outside, but it's almost like it's dropped the plan B already. In fact, force up these The underlying weakness of that McLaren shouldn't see him be able to come alive in comparison to Stappen and then lead to the race. But is this place too much like a Suzuka for them to be able to do anything about it? But one thing that could influence the start, and the one thing that might influence passing into turn one, is that Chedwich. Let's have another look at the reaction time here. Not the best reaction time to match Verstappen, but he's going to turn it around. Russell marginally ahead at this point as we head to turn one. Again, punching a hole in his own air of Verstappen, but he's also the clean say of the braking. And I suspect, Julian, even Verstappen didn't know he was going to do that until he knew he was going to do it. And he was committed to passing Russell, absolutely, and then thought, and take race lead. Russell has much thought in that start, and without Oscar here defending the inside, George is going to stay past both of them. And actually, has to just get out of there right there. I don't know as much the chance, and then yeah, I mean, Russell there stuck in, and there's nothing you can do when you're on the inside. You can't release the brakes because you just got to capture into the McLaren ahead, and it allowed Verstappen to swing past by. Although still in short shorts, you could have said great move, Max, but it was the other way around. No, it's just some from Agios. Any route anywhere in the world, really, where what drivers questioning what the other drivers saying. Yeah, a little bit of honesty. Good there. That's what he sometimes does here when the driver is frustrated. You see, you've shown statistic there. And that was Gasly heading off the road. This is what it looked like. Turn it back on board of Southampton. I wonder how they're side by side coming into period 10. I believe they were negative contact too close at the previous one. Yeah, that's the bit that we want to have a look at, because it's really not a conventional overtaking place at all. In theory, the overtaking is done in Tamburano. It's the first break design on the circuit. So how that side by side here to be in a bit of an attempt from Leclerc and Tosa. Did it contact maybe and went through a replay on that one to see how that played out, and then Gasly really just trying to one depending on some. There's not rather than in there. It's a good for us up Tabler over the crest, and off he popped to the gravel. By Verstappen taking the lead. See him drop down momentarily to third place. And George Russell had rough to use the momentum of this start. And then on the brakes the second, on the brakes the first. And the lead of 129 seconds, despite Oscar Piastri holding the fastest that of the race. Russell giving us a little insight into all the drivers rarely feel, but you don't always hear on the radio. Norris not going for a strategic offset, like some were suggesting pre-Grand Prix, sticking with that medium. Alonso holding in position, and we are into the DRS train phase of it. Everyone close to each other. Is anyone able to make it look like Lewis Hamilton on Antonelli, as shown at that, who was game 2 facing in this Grand Prix, reports that the tyres are better than expected. It's a swell confident for the Take-Two year. It was been a difficult weekend so far. Still right into the Heinland Stroll. A big fracture on the Antonelli from Hamilton looking good as well behind Antonelli. Ferrari, well, they knew they were going to have to do some overtaking today. Been a study about it early on. Probably it's the Leclerc DRS straight. They strolls it within a second of Albon, is within a second of Sainz, is within a second of Alonso, is within a second of Norris, is within a second of Russell. So that means, but start really battling George Russell in third. And the problem that they're carrying at is that straight on speed wasn't as good as their Wargos yesterday. It went slightly near down for us. It's giving the fruits aches around the lap, but it's not giving them a fight to top speed. So Lando is stuck in behind George third. Doesn't have a massive weapon there to the overtaking opportunity. Hopefully does have another break. It's 73-degree track temperature at the moment. Air temperature is 23 degrees. We're expecting a one-stop stretchy from these medium tyres that everyone is running in the top 10. And the window of movement around the lap 19. So at 25, it's getting closer and closer and closer. Does Norris have an opportunity? But Norris, with the tip braking, so he got close, but not close enough. Enjoy it back. So this Hamilton again, getting close under braking, but not able to make his way past the Mercedes. Again, he's got big momentum. There's only one DRS zone around this 3-mile racetrack in months. Silent ball out down to the first braking zone of the circuit. Hamilton again having to study the Mercedes. We go back to the battle of the coast within 3/10 of a second under braking as Norris tries to make inroads on Russell, who tried something different yesterday. Didn't use the softest tire available, used the medium at the end, and that's how he was able to jump Lando Norris. Russell, who had designs on second place earlier on, seeing himself fall to third, and has been left behind by those out front. George Russell was 4.6 seconds away from the race lead. tight little drops here to see, well, was our crawl a bit too, just getting a bit too deep all the way into the first of the ratters. I've just been looking at his signs actually, and it's as much as the weight on a 13 it allows is matching Gasly. Yes, we obviously on the backside. It could be a chance to Norris here. He's slanting, comes to this lap that he was in the last. Russell knows it, tries to do a little bit of gentle weeding to break the tone. If it's Gasly chasing more from Exo, that replay that we just saw, and it's going to no way by. The traditional move, we saw what that just happened did. Instead of going the long way round to turn into the first part of the chicane, he's going to try to feel that. It's going to be no running that, of course, but no way by. So Lando Norris, who has the pace, it's a narrow racetrack. And you carry cheap speeds through the chicanes that were introduced in 1995 after the tragic events the year before. Yeah, and I think that George will understand well where to position his car. If there is just so much momentum across the start finish line, then that's the best opportunity from Lando. But any of these marginal road there side, halting that after comes the inside in the second chicane, that puts a lot of trust in the guard in front of you. And a long season, you want to be finishing with good points. Of course to be right up there with the Astrid family to the win. Well, that's why you take the big part, buddy. You know the guy in the car because you've got whole knowledge of how to do that. Then Dino could have brilliant engineers in the garage, and Julian, it looks like he's close once again. Obviously, it's 3/10 of a second, either 2/10 of a second. It's a narrow racetrack, so it's easy to compromise your rotation around the corners, but you can see that having to go to the inside is still a Lando Norris. And Charles with no. And he was doing even a little mowing, heading down to the Villeneuve chicane. Again, good momentum for the McLaren. But George Russell's defense has brought Fernando Alonso along to the party. And look at where the race leaders are. They're checked out front. Over the second clear on the last lap. Verstappen and Piastri now getting away from Norris. So this is now getting into the realm of Miami again, isn't it? Where Lando had the pace but couldn't execute the move on the first attempt to pass Verstappen on that day. And it allowed the leader, Piastri, to break away. Norris needs to make a way through. Didn't enjoy him on the Shalom radio message there. Basically a commentator, George. Today he's getting annoyed with Polska's defensive driving into turn one. He's reporting what the other McLaren's doing. Driver currently occupying third position, chasing his fifth podium of the season today, which is round 7 at the Challenge. 12, so yes, it's to queue up though. I'm pretty sure I've seen a feature somewhere where he was trimming his lawn and fishes and all sorts. So maybe he just has a bit off, damaging the dress. Take 3. Lando Norris up against George Russell. Now there's a lot of momentum, but again, no opportunity. So trying the different lines once more, but it's going to have to be a bold move into the second chicane. Lando Norris out of the slipstream. Can he go around the outside of H8? That's D-Chan. Another great overtake in this Grand Prix. As Lando Norris, he's aiming to stay ahead for the moment they're launching up, but Norris has third place in the race. All credit. Brilliant move. Really, really difficult to do that. You have to place a lot of trust in where your car's going to get positioned, and then the driver, they get overtake him, of course, doesn't alter the steering, and then take it to the driver. To flicks in Romeo, so that had something. That's what Yuki Tsunoda got it wrong yesterday, ended up in a roll. To commit the then is intense for Norris. I love the drifting. You can see the car sliding as he's in the dirty area of the Mercedes here. This was the second look around the outside, and he knows he has to just bury it in there in a hook. But the George doesn't go with him. And it was a lovely pass in the end for Lando. Third lap and finally through. And now he's immediately just whopping George Russell, who is struggling. Yeah, you see it. Big tools ahead to the bobsledder. Should create tires. He is the first to head in. Followed by biggest kind of signs is having in his mouth is Williams. And so we were expecting our first pit stops to be around lap 19 for the medium tire. Mercedes and Williams going against that, going to the early stop. Now get the advantage and a fresh set of hard tires and the extra good through guys. Yeah, this will solve that then they fall into very clean air, I suspect. You've got the Leclerc has just made his way through. And you're rejoining out on the racetrack, and you see Charles Leclerc in 15th position, George Russell in 16th, and Clan sides in 17th place, and Charles Leclerc, having made the stop, getting the advantage of that fresh rubber and getting ahead on track. And you've seen how difficult it is for even the dominant team of the World Championship to pass.
Yeah, I think their plan was, as you were suggesting, Alex, these stop late teens, early 20s to try and target a one stop, but it just seems that those mediums have not been as durable as we expected. Yeah, the deck certainly it's high, you know, been particularly high for the likes of Russell and also Norris. I mean, I want to sliding around trying to protect position. That's what you heard George say. I can't in the target after bypass to race like this. And Alonso now picks as well. We'll see where he's going to shuffle out in all of this. But it's 20 second to a pick stop. It's really fairly really costly to think the race to plus you have to do it. Or if there's a safety car, in which case if you shade 10 seconds off that, but it's only one well set as we see Fernando rejoining. So Fernando Alonso, they didn't do a brake try on the left-hand side of his car there, and now the right-hand side. So that should go out when he rejoins and he gets the cool air of Northern Italy as through the car, and he rejoins. Russell goes through, and it needs signs. That's the aim for him. Alonso for the cover. Yes, and he does cover up Carlos Sainz. This has worked out beautifully for Leclerc, hasn't it? He pumped in the fastest after the race with the early tech stop. He's undercut Russell. Because he had firmness. George had been he's slowed up this whole bunch. He's undercut Alonso, he's undercut Sainz, and Leclerc is basically now in a net fourth place, gunning for a net third place. By the time Norris tends. Yeah, Norris has been told on the radio, sorry DC, but Norris has been told on the radio, need all the pace you have, or you have to cover this off. Yeah, that's what I'm just going to see. Last time Barrow Norris in clean air, 22 flat, as Piastri edged to the pace, which endeared to 21.5 from Piastri to the 1. For Verstappen. Expect Verstappen to work to cover this next time round. Norris has upped his own pace. I still don't think it's enough to cover off Leclerc at this rate. So a slow stop for Oscar Piastri by models over the one standards. 3.6 seconds, not ideal for him, as he tries to make use of this fresh rubber. Pit lane. And David and Jordan have been telling you about fly the tail, back to racing speeds, and a massive outlet. That slow stop has meant that there's even more pressure on this outlet for Oscar Piastri. He's going to worry Max Verstappen, the race leader, after 14 laps. Yeah, I'm really see just in the background, Leclerc is not that far behind. So this is Fernando Alonso. You already mentioned the real fire. Red fire is he was sitting there, and there wasn't obvious. You can see now front left has gone, oh, I want to just burn a little bit. And then front right goes, don't forget me, I'm hot too. There is the race leader who picked up polite DC. Nasty Piastri with a slightly slow stop, 3.6 seconds, and takes the pressure slightly off. But he is trying to up these hard tires quickly. You don't take too much out of them. The undercut worth them on. So Leclerc's not 4 seconds behind Piastri. Piastri was running second. Yeah, Travis ahead of Norris with the way that he's gone. Throw it absolutely insane. His strategy to sell and play today. What does Verstappen do on this lap? He's telling Gard and told. Surely he's going to do the wrong industry as well. But the undercut, that's some power thing. It could be a second bell out of really all of them. With the McLaren to the lead still down and a new horn. Still at the club, keeping track position. Never asked to say. Yeah, I can surprise that Max didn't consider the start there. He did bring his special lap time down, matched by Norris pretty much, but it's all over looking Piastri to his clean air until he gets up to Sonoda, and this is next to the traffic ahead. The slower the McLaren stop is probably deep Red Bull 1 extra lap, and they'll be thinking long term. I mean, this is heading towards a 2-stop though with these early pit stops, and that's the hard tire is much stronger. Then I think we need to keep some life in this left. Of course, Norris staying out there as well and still circulating reasonably well in the other McLaren on the medians. Okay, next Verstappen leads by 10 seconds from Lando Norris, and we have plenty of racing still to go. And how far can Verstappen and Norris take things as we go on board with Lewis Hamilton, the driver who started on the hard time in this Grand Prix? It was the top line up on the grease.
he had to start on the hard side. And it rid up of this race back in 2020. Starts Team 12. He's now in 6th position, still staring at the back at Kimi Antonelli, who is still staring at the back at Isaac Hutchell. And that's how you can defend that first corner. Antonelli, you just have to middle of the road there. It's not a massive radio zone. And you could just see from Hamilton's point of view, how do you do anything about that? It's hard light to the inside. And all Antonelli has to do is just hover in the middle of the road, and there is really no way through. Now, Hamilton has been frustrated that whole race. Remember, he started ahead of Antonelli, got that on the opening lap, and Sid was just sitting in behind the Mercedes. They're both moving up the order, 5th and 6th now. It sends him for waiting game at the moment. Is dangerously poor good here, Lawson. And actually played to Gastri's team. Well, that's a straightforward DRS. It was all you look catch the end of the 10th team. He's managed to complete that task. So that's how you really like it to clear out it. Then you do DRS. And of course, then the cut sauce to the side, just perhaps a little bit later. Ontem a gente plastic something there's nothing says quick good this that. These autos all the time. So I've been seeing a big ton of lap time from his own lap. So is he actually trying to manage those times that the view to make a very one solved? And is that given you just have the opportunity to not sort of react and have to go covering something that will just give him longevity his tires late in the quantum. It's exactly that. This isn't one of the outbreaks of the Astria. The undercut attempt is not materialized. It's not racing it up pace. And he's very soon going to be with Yuki Tsunoda. If I'm with Tsunoda right now, it's that its teammate knows to get elbows out. Give this guy to the tip. If he can do anything to Red Bull today, it's going to be keeping active on with it. It is just being what for a second. It wasn't stressing, so de-rest all enough. I thought they were going to. I saw they come through. I thought they would come up with some sort of whistle works to. I think you would say the same, but no. I think that guy's son of Scottish. He's just gone straight to the point. Hold him up, son. Yeah, such a prize is all tickle residual promoted to residual. Firstly, I'm lost it last year, and now Paul had told that every curious of this year, and now being Yuki Tsunoda. No codes being used at Red Bull because they know that we know. Okay, and we're sitting on forward with the championship leader here, Oscar Piastri, who has a bit of jeopardy to his race. Tsunoda ahead has been told keep him behind, please. But Tsunoda is within DRS range of quality banding in doing. They're all on the hard tires, so they're going to go long. It means that they're in a DRS trade here, and Piastri not going to have some sort of mega over speed of the main straight to make the move. Tsunoda's wide and reverse at one, and that could be snapped up first attempt with a mistake there from Yuki. Yeah, he's got one job right now, and it doesn't look like he's going to be able to help at all. There Oscar Piastri with the speed to go past here. The McLaren does have a little bit more. He's so close because it's a narrow racetrack, and Piastri knows he needs these passes, and he gets it done. Out of car's width, took a car's width, and then Bruce. I bet you can see that. That was not easy to Piastri, either with the mistake that Tsunoda made in the last quarter there. He's missed an opportunity to really cost Piastri some race time there, Yuki. But there's another line of cars ahead, so even if Tsunoda can't do it, still got Bennett, and then the stream of cars in front of him still thought up into an outback. And all of this just Oscar Piastri's race time. He's a second slower than Norris on the last time. He's a second slower than Verstappen, clearing Yuki Tsunoda. So even if Yuki could hold it back, this is not working out at all well to Piastri. So again, I wonder if that's why he's sort of come into this stint reasonably gently, taking that view that and probably win this race. You absolutely need to give ourselves the option of the one stop, whether we head in hard and take too much out of our tires, that even though the tire in theory in terms of wear could be good to the end, you just reach that point, leave on every grid. Tough to see how he's going to win from this position there. Stuck in now behind Ollie Bennett. Shouldn't he have slammed dunk fast? This is what the DRS of Bennett hasn't, and Bennett's not going to fight it particularly hard. Piastri's up to none. He's got more traffic ahead than his Colatinto next. And all the while coming through these cars, there's 1.3 seconds is the last to Verstappen. And every lap he's taking passing these guys, Verstappen and Norris will have fresher tires when they take to hold the place, keep the place, go attacking Piastri. So he's slow and he's using up the hard tires in this melee. It's not working out for him. It's 28 seconds for his stop. Right now, Oscar Piastri is 32 seconds off the pace, off the, back Verstappen to his own race leader. by 9.6 seconds. Alex Albon still yet to stop, and the same applies for Hadjar, Antonelli, Hamilton, Oldenburg, Colapinto, the Argentine driver, returning to Formula One in place of Jack Doohan. Is his 10th Grand Prix start to gate. Volpinte, who was in its Logan Sargent last year, and Williams has 5 races, key terms, provide the team have been debating that. If you ask Flavio Briatore, you're in one thing. If you ask other people, the team, you have another. But either way, Paul Inside back in the championship, at least until just before the British Grand Prix. Yeah, I think Flavio said that as long as he drives strictly, doesn't crash, you'll be in for as many races in TIG. So it's that slightly glanced at his coffee movie. He is still there, as we're going to see another fairly straightforward DRS pass there. And it put the ass sweet at the thing. To use this Germany, I'm trying to figure out from Norris right now, Mataran, for them to know this Grand Prix, I knew they'd be looking for the starter to take first, the safety car to come out, check on the safety car, get that massive advantage of time that you talked about, Virgil, and they want to victory. Now, that's the sort of Hollywood script option one. What are the likelihoods of that happening? They will know that, right? He's going to be a bit of luck for that. They're just shooting into us at this point, aren't they? As exactly as you described in that DC. The only thing now, I go, I hope not from McLaren cinch. That is absolutely the way it's looking at the moment. Clear air has been worth so much. So these regulations have completely rewritten. 21 to 22, ripped up the technical rule book. The downforce generated, drove the floor way forward. Of course, all the teams are not interested in an overtaking battle. They're interested in performance. The floors have become more intricate. They have become more aerodynamically efficient in generating downforce, but it's created more dirty air. So getting your car in clear air, even more important than it has been in previous years. Charles Leclerc has had to follow Yuki Tsunoda for a while, no more. He's out of the wheel tracks. He's up to 11th place. He is trying to make use of a great strategy call from Ferrari. Your next point. It's to a one stop. So I think everyone that pitted early on the medians felt the early degradation, the rear tire temperatures overheating. We saw that a bit on one lap even. The tire temperatures going up. But if you get them under control, the tires have longevity. And there were some early panickers. Obviously, Leclerc's made massive headway by pitting early and making the most out of that. But the squabbling going on between Russell and Norris and everyone being bunched up. That everyone has stayed out and has just been patient, and I think are getting rewarded. The fact that Norris, Albon, and Hadjar, all the medium tires, will they will go to some hards. They're not much fresher tires to go to the end. Undercut, but still not able to make the impression. Antonelli, the 8th second away. Isaac Chancha, 8th second away. That continues to give Antonelli the straight line speed advantage down the main straights of the braking zone of the circuit. Oscar Piastri has improved past Lijo Hulkenberg. That's Salva's only point scoring finish in the opening Grand Prix of the year in Australia. There's the evidence that Piastri has got 5. Salva celebrating 600 Grand Prix. And on the left-hand side of your screen there, you can see Charles Leclerc still wide in traffic now. Fanded and Colapinto, he took 3 laps to pass Tsunoda. He has a little look to the inside of Ollie Van. And the gap that he had, that was worth more than a pit stop over Norris. So he had effectively jumped Norris. That's now gone as Leclerc's pointing through the traffic. So Norris and McLaren could bring it easier in that clear air out front. Leclerc is now in a race for still 4th position. Well, the track rod is talking. It's probably still circulating, so they don't have ball joint bearings anymore, so it can be a bearing. There's 6 tethers, so what would else give you that feeling? You sway to the unknown. He's not been actually his like car, M6 and Portison's snaps. Russell was radioing in, saying he needed to give the car a once-over before he even got to the grid, as we're going to look at another pass for the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc. having a better Sunday than they did Saturday. Both drivers devastated to find themselves not able to make the pass. And I think Ollie Behrman remembered who he was racing there. Part of the Ferrari Academy as a junior, really backed out a bit as Charlotte Flag goes through it. Very familiar. I think them Sonovi might have made a little bit harder being in a Red Bull, but certainly the Haas there of Behrman deemed very compliant, allowing Leclerc through on the inside. It's another look at how Oscar Piastri improved up to 7th position. To uptake you on his gap to Max Verstappen, 33 seconds. Mercedes had told George Russell they didn't see anything on the data. He's still lapping okay. He's now to the back of Tsunoda, and he's within a couple of seconds of Leclerc still. There you see as Leclerc made it through. That is Russell on the tail of Tsunoda. And here we go. T-screen. George now is having to make the move. It's not like feeling when you think something's not right. Not only something is not quite right in the Mercedes, he's felt it all the way through. But there we go. It's not easy to see anything through the Mercedes on the data, so he has to just keep his head down and maximize his points. Yeah, there is sometimes you just can't explain what that feeling is, but equally, as you're sort of alluding to the joyous drivers and like the two says in the team, they sense but the car is strapped to their body, quite literally, and you get so used to walk back the balance of that vehicle below you. Feels like fresh tires, old tires. And, well, it just doesn't feel... It hasn't been really settled. Although he did a brilliant job in qualifying, it hasn't really been settled with the car this weekend. No, and you did suffer in Jeddah a real strong way. Not to say that overall it is worth saying that last year, the C5 time, which is on medium this weekend, did 37 laps. Into the candid magazine past driver last year, so that gives you an idea of how far and that tire can. And that caught behind George Russell is Carlos Sainz, who jumped Fernando Alonso at the first round of pit stops as well. Alonso qualified so well and low yesterday, still running it in a net points position in 14, having maybe the early stop, but it's Sainz who's now coming back towards Russell. I mean, another good race day in the Williams. And it's running with the Ferraris and the Mercedes last time out, and they're doing the same again here. Albert stays out. It is up there in the long run. He's going to have some pressure tires to go attack me at the end. It's just starting to get in the room to do the types of Russell. Barrett suggested gets the depth down to 32 seconds. He had a little bit of clear end after Hulkenberg, and then down himself. And getting this into the wheel track of Lewis Hamilton. And this is worst case now for Piastri. He was 6-7 tenths budget, then just up to the last 2 laps. To make Red Bull think about a pit stop, and now he's stuck in. Hamilton is stuck behind Antonelli. He's been stuck here since lap 1. Within DRS range, you synced it in, he flew me to the middle of the road to defend from Lewis into Tamburello, the first big braking zone. How is possibly going to deal with these two when racing each other? Goes constantly in the wheel tracks of Antonelli with the DRS and a decent straight line speed in the Ferrari. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see, but somehow it feels like momentum is with him. Is George Russell going past the Tsunoda? Can that Red Bull search? He should have a straight line with his DRS. I think there it is, the Mercedes flag. Within the sea of raids, Jimmy Antonelli is seen that has become a more common occurrence. Joe did say he's good brave. He would have been brave for Paul Chibiing that. That's, I think, what is that to cheer and overtake like that, surely? But isn't that the beautiful thing about our sports? That you can have a family, they are all wearing different acts, showing their support to different teams. And it's a McLaren going past a Ferrari, gets in on the brake, doing his big moves. Fast for Piastri's Grand Prix. Yes, there's a tire offset between these two, but if Piastri can get past quickly, there's still a factor to win the Grand Prix. He's had to do it the hard way so far. 32 seconds between Oscar Piastri and Max Verstappen in the lead. Nice move that from Piastri, and I said he'd have to work to that one, and he did. Hamilton had the inside line, and Piastri had to go late on the brakes, and it showed Ferrari wasn't going to keep its nose in it first corner. And that's a big one, because it breaks the DRS train from Hamilton to Antonelli. Antonelli should be an easier pass, in theory, coming up. He's not far away to behind Jarvo. And that'll be a demonstration to defend from Piastri. This shit, Adger is doing a great job. Still in the entire lap time, still under pressure from Antonelli. So the basic bull driver having a very strong showing. Yeah, stabilised well after losing a couple of places at the start of the Grand Prix. Hadjar looking for his third point storied finish in Formula One today. He's been in the top 10 in Japan, Saudi Arabia so far in this 2025 season. He's rookie campaign in the championship. As a reference here, Albon in third, but to take that would come out right with Alonso in 14th. And it's a blue for Oscar Piastri again. He's able to slice by the Ferrari, then the Mercedes, and he's still kept his race alive. As Charles Leclerc, left-hand side of your screen, he has passed Hulkenberg, trying to do the same thing a few meters back. So Verstappen could pick and comfortably cover off Piastri still, because Oscar's been going to the track lane. And Oscar's been doing it well enough, but Norris will be behind him. It's so much struck up with Schubert. I'm not quite sure what the super thing of people is right now with Albon, who is ticking along really nicely. He's got fair track all around him. And as I said, you didn't run with Alonso where he could pick. He was behind him on the side, but Alonso picked us. This is an overcut now, and then he'll have the fresh tyres as well. So he doesn't want to go too long and lose those medium tyres. But right now, he's just in the clear air, and he'll be thanking them later when he puts on the hard and could just absolutely done it to the flag. I suspect it's the fact that he's starting to lose a little bit of fans as often. She's still right there in the redraw, and it's why Tech should manage to pull that half second in this lap again, because trusting in the team. So he's point with that group of cars. As you see, no challenge for Piastri to get past Hadjar. You get to the stage of the race there at Hadjar's side. There's absolutely no way making this difficult for Piastri. He's going to get by, and that's the particularly the fact of sort of the Grand Prix that we were talking about earlier on. Oscar Piastri finds himself up to fourth position now on the road. The gap remains at 32 seconds. We're a bit of a stalemate here now out front. Verstappen and Norris have had no need to pit. Things are fine for them right now. At some point, Verstappen thought, Piastri has Carrera. If he could start to take half a second a lap plus off Verstappen will need to cover him off in the next few laps. And we'll see now if we get a response from Red Bull. I wish McLaren have no need to pick Norris, but here we go. They're going to pick him. So as we suggested earlier, from Norris, why not roll the dice of something funky happening at your pit stop? I don't know why they're hitting him now, then. Trying to make sure they stay ahead of Leclerc. Leclerc's made his way through the traffic line. Oscar Piastri is. And pats on the back there. After the slightly slow stop for Oscar Piastri, looked a lot quicker for Lando Norris. Was off. Quick catch for Lando Norris. 2.1 is what they want to see. Alex Albon is up to second place. No Williams. And Lando Norris is way too lazy for the control line to get back on the racetrack. And they decided, having seen Oscar Piastri make his way through, hold on, flag is out, and that could change things. Esteban Ocon is going slowly on my driver tracker. There he is, he's parked up. Ocon pulls over. So would if the McLaren said Norris, they're one lap too early. Now we're going to get a safety car, and Verstappen will have the easiest pit stop ever. And McLaren have covered off Leclerc by 3 seconds. The VSC is now out, and they've missed that chance. The virtual safety car saves you 10 seconds on the price of your pit stop. Yes, the traffic is your concern it. And Verstappen is just coming to the final corner 18. 12-19 as the FIA map will watch this. He will just very comfortably drive into the pits. They've got a massive margin to get this car serviced and out now for Red Bull. This will be the most comfortable pit stop they should have in season to retain a race lead under the BSC. Again, the pit stop they needed. Lewis Hamilton will get the same. And it's only a virtual safety car to be withdrawn whenever race control decides. Albon will get his chance as well. He's just coming up to the second last corner. This is going to be brilliant for Williams in Albon. Yeah, he's going to be right out into the thick of it. Verstappen emerges. Look how far back Piastri is. Norris is behind him because McLaren. Did they just picture one lap on him? And this is unlucky for them. Charles Leclerc bemoans his luck. Williams having a great season. Need a green pit stop. Alex Albon was doing a little bit worried they hadn't teached him. What timing for Albon, for Antonelli, for Hadjar, and for Hamilton. So he closed it again. He's taking a second stop, and that's why these good players, you takes it really early. Russell's in again for a second stop as well. So it's signs all the early pitters are going again because they realize this is a chance to get a cheap pit stop, and it's going to throw Leclerc right back down the order. And that's why Hamilton now is going to be at the end of his team members. Alex Albon has emerged in fourth position. It is Verstappen, Piastri, Norris, Albon, Hadjar. Their speed is still reduced by the virtual safety car. Hadjar, Antonelli, Hamilton, and also Stroll. And Charles Leclerc is the top 10. It's still a virtual, not a full. We have to the stuff it's got to Piastri, number 20 seconds. 20 seconds and 30 pretty much to Norris. Things would change if he was upgraded to a full safety car. If they cannot be perhaps behind the barriers, it would have to be upgraded to a thin safety car, but never did this about at the low. Hamilton is particularly full. Man, please stop. Agile, but only did. That's it. That's it. To call the race. This could be podium day for Williams. I want that on the record. It doesn't take much to happen here for Alex Albon to get that team back to the podium. But Max Verstappen waited a lot longer, and he has Imola to himself in the lead. The driver who has won 3 Grand Prix in a row here in an amazing position to make it 4. His lead across the line, 21 seconds. Piastri is going to peel in. So Oscar Piastri come in earlier on, having done all of that effort to side his way through the field, comes in for a fresh set of tyres, gets rid of the old bugs, I think this again, and gets that into the race, and he had the safety to do that to only lose a position to his teammate. Control mine now, and it's going to be Albon wins into 3rd position in the classification, still behind the virtual safety car. But that's hard tyres to the end of the race, and it's ending right now. So the race has been reset by the chiming of the virtual safety car, and Oscar Piastri will have to react to that. The green flag flies once again. I think he was a bit slow reacting to the virtual safety car and ending, but Charles Leclerc isn't. Will he try and do a max right there? No, he doesn't. And he didn't have the room, he didn't have the momentum to carry him around the outside, and a scrambled race means that McLaren chose to give Piastri new hard tyres, and Alex Albon runs in third position as Charles Leclerc has a look to the inside and turns off. I find this over here, then the changing back up for here. It's Act 31, the 63, and this Grand Prix has been redrawn after Esteban Ocon became the only retirement so fun. So to tell you now why this is tours up, just listen. Yeah, that doesn't sound right, does it? It's 51. Kept the full failure of Harriet. And Leclerc, having dogged to the race thing, starting in the legend up to 4th. Molly George Russell into the backers. Now pass in front there. This is stuff. There's just stuff in the pit names, all in the damage that he was making contact with under braking. Only a nudge. It's still not what you want to see in the pit lane. Halting out stuff for Russell as he's in. There's nothing more you can do there. You're on the brakes and trying to stop the car just in time. Jimmy Antonelli thinks, am I going to have to get past Hadjar? Am I going to get past? And then sees Hadjar forward into the fast lane at edge. But let's go to trackside pictures, and we see the Racing Bull cast, the edge. As the side has been able to get past Yip Tsunoda, that's the position K for 13th place, and you are looking at Hadjar versus Antonelli. That's his position in the Grand Prix. Sport is just incredible. It's beautiful. Keeping you, putting you on an emotional roller coaster. Just never know what's going to happen. I'm surprised in how many drivers opted for a second pit stop there under the VSC. It's alluring because it's say 10 seconds compared to because it's still 18 seconds to change a set of tires, and it's cost someone like Charles Leclerc lofty track position here down towards the 9th place. Obviously they told the hard tires that they were on, they're going to fade away. That the reasons are teaching along nicely. The Verstappen, the Norris for Albon, and the Haas, and the ridiculous towards the end of their life yet. And all of a sudden there's nobody easy to overtake on. They hadn't got over track position, but it could have had a time. Just wasn't that sort of safety car that times the field again. So it's just a VSC, so a good amount of margin to those behind. So Warriors have done forces, but that's how answered early, including lost of Nastri has given up the podium place at this stage. I'm sure they know more than me on this, but I'm just surprised no one tried to stick it out on and how they used help. Moves of saw George Russell in 11th position. He makes his way past the Salva of Nico Oldenburg, who's still out there on the medium side. No switch to the medium tire, and the gap to Stroll with now 4 tenths a second. But Russell has had a tough day. Team Mercedes going to be a lot of frustrated riders meandering through the paddock later on. The timing of how this has played out. Earlier on, Charles Leclerc started the domino effect. The first best hit runner to come in and switch tires. Others ahead had to respond to that. It even affected things at the very front. I told you a lap ago about this mood for Carlos Sainz. This is how we got past his Tsunoda. So Richard packs the back end of it. Delta is started initially wheel to wheel. Yeah, I think Carlos has agreed to see Dino reserve, and he needed to leave a trial lane. Did right the rest of falls and look at any damage. Lewis Hamilton looking for the moves that is deemed seeking all Grand Prix, and he powers past Kylian Antonelli, the local trainer, and the team. This is the racetrack closest to Ferrari's factory, and Hamilton on the medium, able to get by and up to P6. Another good move on the brakes. It's getting 33 laps in the making, and finally he's made it through. Jordan Russell never is again one of those drivers took a second pit stop, so he's behind Stroll and Alonso, who did stay out under the BSC. So Stroll and Alonso did exactly what I was talking about actually, and didn't take the second pit stop. They weren't having the right just a month of the long tires anyway, but he's given a track position over George Russell, who was ahead, but made and lost out anyway to the likes of Fecha, to Antonelli and Hamilton, who went along and really benefited from the DSC. In the battles, the third position, there is George Russell. He is the last driver to score. I'll tell you that any description, shoot for Williams back in 2021, that rained off Grand Prix in Belgium. The last full distance Grand Prix was by Stroll. Or the podium, in third position in a drag racing line, beaten by Valtteri Bottas. Is Stroll on the podium. Amazing Grand Prix in Azerbaijan 2017. That's the last time we had a Williams all the restaurant after a full race. That's a nice part of the sentence for Williams. The disappointing thing for them, faster Piastri, roasting pace behind, 9 tenths of a second quicker, as we see another move for George Russell. With it, they want to try cutting off the cards, and it's Russell to the apex of the second part of the time around the chicane first, and he's 3. This gets a slight lead. This is to Alonso, who see there with this ball, but ball is just outside DRS, but George Russell, the quicker package, will be on him by the end of the lap. So good. As it was thought of pointing at this season, has had a great weekend so far. On the side spin has been a bit unlucky. The strategy stakes in round edge to be 9th, and have Russell now on his tail, and George should line up. There's fairly straightforward in the Mercedes on fresh tires. Still going to do it though. It is not really just particularly easy around this circuit. Other drivers further back, Sainz lost out on love, finds a second pit stop as well. So he's going to be on the charge as he was with the Yuki Tsunoda, taking no prisoners. Hamilton is on to the back, and this is another chance for Nunes that on the medium tire to split out. Anyway, he's sending it for 5th. So he's got a great run in the 6th stream as they build up to 190 miles per hour. Hadjar checks in the left mirror, and who's there? It's Racing Hero, who's going by Hamilton up to 5th position. But he stays there, and he thinks the best Grand Prix result for Ferrari, and the crowd enjoyed that one. Hamilton's had to wait to the second part of this Grand Prix to go the attack. He has now moved past Antonelli and Hadjar. That is George Russell getting past another Aston Martin, and he's passed Fernando Alonso. And that's Astor's done. Nice now, they've been pulled the braking before straight forward. This pass on Lawrence Stroll, Lance Stroll, excuse me. So that now releases him with a bit of clear air of a shand to improve race training day. Like Tyler, should start off the most, do you think? 8 seconds or something? Yeah, going to be Quentin as well, like that, having made the second stop. And I don't see Russell having the massive advantage over Leclerc, who was chasing already in that previous stint. So it may be about where Jimmy Fossum is today. By the time Antonelli is on fresh tires, and John Hamilton open all ahead of fresh tires as well. Hamilton had us 8.5 seconds to Hamilton in third. If Hamilton could get his elbows out at a slippery Williams, but took 18 years to somehow update the third position. Hamilton could get there as well before the end of this race. And Alex Albon's best result so far this year. Good position to see Williams, as we're going to go back to another tale of Ferrari versus Mercedes. It is Charles Leclerc getting close, but no momentum to get past Kimi Antonelli at the moment. Not Carlos Sainz. It's been unlucky we saw the timings today always come in, and these moved up to drop position that Aston Martin Stroll the position on the hard time. So Hamilton talking about the amount of tyres that he's used in the battle for the final place on the podium. Championship leader Oscar Piastri to that gap down 5 seconds to 2 now. That's the gap between Albon and third as Piastri moves. I always love the commentator Hamilton gets using the pulp tape. You feel like you're living a Brazil, some attitude of it, setting up the jeopardy. And these tires make it to the end. After all the team ready with Ferrari this year, your biggest lose also word. And I was ready for Hamilton to do a big or a year or something, but he's no, I'll take it too much out of the targets, guys. Yeah, he's on the maybe, he's obviously a bit concerned about it, but he has got pace, and I like the positivity today for Ferrari. Yeah, reminder, the C5 was taking 37 laps last year, so it can be a road that's tired with days to lead. Ninja of them has to shape it who did at the end. Different story. Now the past falls Ferrari. Fans have been able to enjoy this. They're outside the top 10 for the first time in Imola F1 history, but look at the fans wearing red, lining the circuit, enjoying another pass into Tamburello, and that is Charlotte Leclerc up to 7th place. Again, just we know this, don't we? Sports, it takes us an emotional roller coaster, but this isn't just about the red cap or t-shirt to Tifosi. I'm going to pluck your dignitaries off us, and they're looking like they're about to a wedding or something. And they were, I just think it jumping and clapping. If you're a Ferrari fan, or any fan of any team, of course, when they're making positive moves, it makes you feel guilty. See, it does, and they are being cheered around every single corner. Oscar Piastri on the brink of DRS now in the battle to chase down this man who has been absolutely superb this year. Only one time in the Grand Prix for that has Alex Albon missed out on a point steal this year. That was in Bahrain. He was 5th in Australia. He was 5th last time out in Miami. Also, is he going to end the race? Oscar Piastri. Well, he's going to give it everything, hasn't he? Albon in. It is that a brilliant race. Williams are coming on strong. There was sensation in Miami. Hayden was worthy mixing in with the big boys in Miami and had a brilliant finish, 5th place. So he's gonna just give this a gun now in a podium position with 24 laps left. It's so unlikely that he's going to be keeping the championship leader behind. We know Jess, who's a great racer as well. Because we were just dealing a strength. Only can he keep the traction out in the final corner and do what Fernando Alonso has used tires comment and keep cars behind at the first braking zone. Hulkenberg able to make the move, and Hulkenberg up into the top 10 with only the Sauber's second point scoring finish of the campaign, but he can stay there. I think Aston Martin here kind of proves why everyone did take the second pit stop. Alonso wasn't just behind Sainz, so Sainz is now behind him, but the fresh tyres are giving enough juice for this enthusiastic classes on the two Aston Martins. This is Yuji Tsunoda improving up to 13th position. He's getting past Lance Stroll. Here's another replay of it. DRS pass and the Red Bull gets past the Aston Martin. It's got a little damage of these front right wing end plates, which they mean obvious action balance in that car. Albon hasn't been on the podium for 5 years in Formula 1, and Oscar Piastri takes that dream away. It's been a great campaign for Williams so far, but Albon not able to resist, and then choosing not to resist. Either way, Piastri moves himself up to 3rd position. Too strong Piastri there, and he just had the traction coming out in the final border. That is new tyres to new tyres, and that's why I thought Albon might be able to make more of this space today there. You know, Williams, this and Dixie Q3 runner these days, of course. But Piastri's just too strong and failed to with his passes. He didn't need to be in that critical area. He was well ahead before the break. He's out. What's this? Oscar Piastri, I've been telling you this, Gat. Redding was relevant when Verstappen didn't need to stop. Is still 31 seconds back. The problem is that Verstappen's taking his pit stop. He's deep tires now. 11 laps he's doing on the hard, and Lando Norris, Max Verstappen last time around both did a 1:19.6. It's only 100 for the set dash. Push that. That our race leader, Max Verstappen, looking to win, walking around this circuit, looking to return to the top step of the podium. It's already the second time this season and the first time since Japan. Yeah, well, 2 laps to go. It's all he declared the weather. It's going to be interesting, I think, as we see Leclerc on temperature. What he's done is only after a couple of seconds off the road. It's a Hamilton, so we could well see a little revisit of the battle. See DRS both Hatcher not getting involved in that battle. But they could well have the rally drivers racing it out for that 5th place finish. The plan seems to be the quicker. And Hamilton charging through the field and keeping the distance to his teammate. There they are in the same shot there to Tosa. Fecha tires, of course, on Leclerc. So what's going to happen when he gets on to back Hamilton and goes down guys and quicker? And it depends. If they didn't catch Albon ahead, there's still 21 to go in the race. We're 2/3 distance. There's a probably little way to go, and Hamilton at the moment is holding that 8.5 seconds gap to Hudson. He didn't lose really any time fighting Piastri because Oscar and flying straight past in one go. So maybe he was wise to not put up a fight. I don't think really had a choice to put up a fight with the pace that Piastri had. And the fight there is continuing to get that best result of the year now. And British Fulham is where Aldon was in the road in Melbourne, wasn't it? But and lost it afterwards in the stewards room. He's back there again. Sainz to get free for a point as well. I mean, you had his race a little bit scuffed with the BSC, as plenty of other drivers had. Just brilliantly for Aldon now, but he's got to try to hang on to the Team Ferrari. We're going to get some interesting team radio coming up shortly during the I'm sure the greatest hits of Ferrari's interesting team radio this year. Plenty of memorable messages as Hulkenberg has a big check to the right mirror, and there sits Carlos Sainz with DRS with the opportunity, and Hulkenberg waiting to the last attachment driver to make his move, but he can't keep Sainz behind as Williams once again have 2 cars in the top 10. And the advantage of signing a proven race winner again as the writ large in the campaign, and Sainz getting unlucky with the timing. No extra safety car, but Albon enforced Sainz in 10th position, 2000 in the top 10 once again. But this race really goes to show how strategy makes a massive difference, and it basically luck in this car, to be honest. Williams started in 2 cars, 6 to 7. Sainz is ahead of Albon. He maintained ahead of Albon in the first stint, but Williams pitted him, and he jumped to Alonso. It seemed like a nice bit of work, but in doing so, they then kept Albon going wrong, and this is just a 50-50 split. If Albon had qualified ahead, then it probably would have been the other way, and Sainz might be running up in 4th place right now. So by dinting early, he did the Piastri run, which you could say the same thing for McLaren. Piastri's done nothing wrong to be behind Norris, but he's not. That's an interesting insight from Andrew's feelings right now. Yes, is beating himself up the fact that they've up-titted and they're just slowly falling down the running order. But I think as we wait to see if the team respond to that, I think these 2 little team battles, we have to Leclerc, they're not set in tires. We've also got Gasly and Colleton to, well, I say the points 15 succeed. But Gasly now on pressure tire 35 seconds. The team will release one of those pressure times. See, they've been Nebly's reformed, and they have done. So to swap position, it's made this immediately. So Gasly now in 15. And I did have that also really missed. It's exactly what I was talking about. We see it highlighted with different teammates. So Sainz's race versus Albon's race. They've probably not done that much different to be just where they are. Gasly's race, of course, was undone in that early off. The third turn, the corner is just swept through once again. And how did he delay having a long ball to get some points out of this one? But he can at least be grateful that his debutante teammate is getting out of the way for him. And we're going to see a replay here of how it is done. Simply, to be fairly compliant to team orders in his first race with the team. Yeah, listing actually on the straights is a really efficient way to let someone task without losing too much lap time. Julia's going to explain why. Why? I mean, it's perfect. It's perfect for Gasly because he covers 3 laps, so you clap down, takes the DRS and sweeps through. Well, because you don't run off line. The EDC, you can get back in line to the corner. You just drop away a couple of seconds. What are your thoughts of that on DC? No, that's exactly what I was thinking, but I just still not bring you it. There's a Tim, which is a freezer. We got a Ferrari's fifth. Let's see. As you can see, Hamilton's got a taste advantage over Albon, and there is got the gap down to 1.4 seconds. Charles Leclerc, who has scored Ferrari's only Grand Prix podium this year with 3rd place in Jeddah. There is Hamilton, who's taken a sprint pole and a sprint victory for Ferrari in Shanghai. These two are split by much. Hamilton on the lead-in side, Leclerc on the hub. Hamilton is now making inroads into Albon as well, so the gap that was 8.5 seconds is now 7. Leclerc is catching Hamilton. You can see it, his teammate up ahead. 21 laps to go. It could all get to Ms. Albon. All we're getting is some improved TT radio for the 2nd race in a row between the Ferrari drivers and their engineers, quite probably because, sure, at this point, Leclerc's limiting the turn Sierra now his speed now, and in 2 seconds on the start of Hamilton. They're on the same tyre freshness. They're all new tyres at the same time, but it's the compound difference that Hamilton has. The medium will be more fragile to the end of the race. They overheat more easily, whereas Leclerc should be able to just keep the pressure on. He's pushing hard, and in theory, the one lap, the hard tyre would be slower, but over this distance, it might well be quicker. Just looking at T-Base as well with the offsets, we've got Russell and Antonelli, and Russell taking around half a second out of Antonelli, who's toiling out of that. While the local hero will not see the checkered flag, the carks up on lap 46, there's 63, and he has not had the dream home debut, but he has made a lot of his friends and family proud by racing at just 18 years of age in Formula One for Mercedes. And once again, everyone's standing by. The last time in the car, park up here, which is a few meters back. Esteban Ocon, we're going to virtual safety car. As Ferrari stand down, and we had a 10 safety car. Well, it is a few neat further meters up the hill, but we dealt with Esteban Ocon under a virtual. Kimi Antonelli requires a full safety car, and we wouldn't be able to broadcast you anything. Red Bull was saying of its theme, hit me like now. 2nd retirement of the Grand Prix, Kimi Antonelli. Back to the 2nd screen, and he's a regular. Dog wall as he's come off the chair observe. So something to reset as we the leads. There, Max Verstappen is heading to the tips. Well, he might be the only one. In comes Lando Norris as well. I imagine it's going to be fairly busy down there. And we have a reset Grand Prix in the final stages. The McLaren lost surely 10. At least Norris has the gap. I don't know. Did Astrid take him? They're going to behind. Don't. He's going to fall behind Albon again. And potentially the 2 Ferraris that have the fresher tyres once again. These hard tyres should be fine to go to the end. And Verstappen obviously has the 3 choices of Vincent. So does Norris in their time. Here, and on the other side, McLaren. And instead of struggle, we went on in others. Which Ferrari debating strategy, we'll show you what they do in a few moments' time. Ask if the Astri is ahead of Lando Norris and waits the line. Oh, who got that? Who got there first? If you get to the line at the end when she pulls a pit exit first, and Lando Norris is first. And he just had the margin. There was a slightly sticky stop again from McLaren, who have not had the easiest time in the pit lane today. But I think he was that fraction still ahead of Albon, which is pretty tricky. Because it allows 2 McLarens to try and chase Verstappen. The Astri is on the more used tyre now at this point. Norris is on, and as you say, it was a scrub that they put on, but still a fresher tyre than that which Piastri is on. He's done 16 laps on that hard, coming past Alex Albon in the process. 2 McLaren all this straight. Norris to pass Piastri, the pressure on Verstappen. This a tough call, isn't it? But the better chance would be with Lando at this stage. By the time they get the safety car line sorted out, this is going to add quite a few more laps. You see, they've been attempted to recover that car from the side of the track. So you would opt to overplay the guessing game, but it's going to be well into the beginning of the distance before they really start this race. So you could well find ourselves in a sort of 10 lap sprint to the finish. Which is why you've shouted twice, questioning whether they bolt on the soft tyre. Trying to currently in P's tied. You're looking at Fernando Alonso, either the well Stroll, I should say. He is coming out on pit lane, then Avia's Stroll of Jinto, Bull Cometo also in the pit lane as well. Well, players got a fresh shot at passing Albert. They'll be packed to the tail of the Williams, and they're all the same tyres. Neither of those two dented, so that'll be like for like. So in the back, Hamilton did take the pit stop. Russell stayed out, which is why he's now back up into 6th place. But so Hamilton will have a chance on fresh tyres to go for it. And now Albon pits. He wants another fresh sec. And he's going to lose track position in doing so, but should cover up Hamilton. So sitting under the safety chart is 10 seconds cheaper, but you still want to look at the gap between your rivals. Off racing and reduced speed, of course. We're unable to just definitively work out who was ahead at the safety car line on third glance. It's like the safety pipe, so I was going to hope that I did TC which I didn't make the shout there. But I'm also hearing that it wasn't clear from the angle either. And either way, Williams have sorted that situation out themselves by putting a new set of boots on Alex Albon. Williams, he's in the position which represents his best finish in Grand Prix racing this year. With T5 is head of George Russell, and he stayed out there. 18-lap-old hard tyres for Russell, 18-lap-old hard tyres for Leclerc, 17-lap-old hard tyres for Oscar Piastri. It still looks like they haven't managed to deploy a strategy idea for stricter Mercedes. So as they get more of the cars to eventually come and lie behind the safety car, with the delay to just cross the start finish line, as we can see the time chase 14-15, that's where the safety car group is there right now. So yeah, I think it should. So maybe into the 50s before we get a restart. Is it going to be the angle and Norris, whether he stayed ahead of Albon or not? So most of all, it's not in great stuff. The front right is slow to come off and it's slow to go on as well. That's it. What a lecture delay there. The Norris hit the pit lane. Should have been okay with Albon. As it was super close. The line is right at the top there. It comes out. Here we go. Who gets there first? This is the angle we've got. Very close. Photo finish stuff in the thing. Albon. And then he was backing out. Obviously, you get down to the speed limit. Yeah, and it looked like Norton. Albon obviously seemed good with a head. But you can't go too quick under the safety car conditions either. You're following a delta. So I imagine Albon's given it the beats to make sure that at the safety car line, steers as far forward as he possibly can. Then he's realized he's actually going too quick, so he has to slow up. Norris then gets a chance to come back at the line. Not like it was for the Albon, but it was a little bit marginal between them. Albon has now picked it, which right at the gates it varied, but so it is a tough enough. Feels like we're just having a bit of a reset here. It's a long way up the hill on the way to Tiricella. I think you're going to see the car now. The recovered bike. So the recovery vehicle on the circuit, which is why we needed the fluid safety car. Off obvious much choices to look at in the barrier, and that has given us a grandstand finish. So I would say the bad luck that Piastri had with the safety car being initially has been redone by the second safety car pull, which has now done Norris back behind him. So the problem is for Oster, he is on the much more used tyres, 16 laps difference, the tyres of Piastri and Norris today. So the Piastri to go and hunt down Verstappen, who has seemed under control in this race, took that amazing move at the start and has not really looked back since. The Piastri to do that on a tyre that is 16 laps older is ambitious. So Norris to do is ambitious enough on the same time as Verstappen. So Charlotte does not love the idea of restarting on old, charred tyres. The reference, that's the same tyre that Piastri's on in second. So the Leclerc's worry will be mirrored by Piastri in second. We haven't heard any team radio from Oscar, but that's the difference there. For the two McLarens have on their tyres. Leclerc's obviously looking back. Those drivers behind him, well, Albon is on a fresh set now. Russell is not, so he's in the same camp as Leclerc and Piastri. Good, right? It's uncomfortable, isn't it? Because this is the season where we're expecting the championship to be played out between the two McLarens. They have the fastest car, and a race like Miami shows that they're in a league of their own. Plenty of other races show that Verstappen is still in the hunt. He's 32 points down on Piastri as they stand in the championship. If he wins and Oscar's third, they're down to 22 points. The season is long, and McLaren door ditching Verstappen in the championship, so they have to think also about winning the race. Certainly, they're a team that are very conscious about being fair between their two drivers. And when the championship is still less likely to be played out between their drivers, do you orchestrate things? How do you do it? We had Ferrari last time out just talking about a 6th and 7th position, podium in Miami, and the tenses that was on the radio there. But this is a chance to win, a guarantee of a podium for the two of them. And championship ramifications in play for McLaren. It's big calls on the pit wall for Zach Brown and Andreas Steiner. It's really cool now. Do you value the team of harmony above trying to win the Grand Prix in? But we've got to go for the win, in my opinion. You have to do everything you can to try race. Then, if you go with the race, do they then sit on places back? Numbers up Piastri, don't get at Norris. So these are all difficult things. But I think that'd be foolish to let Piastri hold Norris back and allow Verstappen and an easy run to the flag to the last 12 laps as soon as we're going to get the safety car in. So we think the marshals are recovering the car. They've fading up the hill to a gap in the barrier, and the cavalry vehicle makes its way into the X parking spot as we look at the state of the tyres to cost the Piastri. Well, that's the other thing. And yes, to even hold Norris back. Hearing the radio and Blair and the concern on those new tards, maybe it'll take care of itself if Norris can get a good restart and take the place. It'll be a big task now for the Piastri to fire up those new tards. I mean, and I think it's been close anyway. It will, if he should, and that would have stuck in a bit of breathing space out there, driving with somewhat a luck car in the way. It's only there, then you hopefully will peer out as soon as possible. Should be any time now. We haven't had the message from race control yet, so he's continuing to hold fire. He cannot move until race control get into the mission. So we've had a lengthy intervention, 2 retirements from the Grand Prix, Esteban Ocon, and a few meters further up the hill, Kimi Antonelli for the Sadie. She's third retirement each Formula 1. It seemed to flag all his previous 6 Grand Prix. That is on sprint pole in Miami. Started third for the last Grand Prix. Did make it top 10 at this one, and it has been a day defined by an intervention of the virtual safety jar, the full safety jar. They bombed through and a famous corner in Formula 1 as currently set Max Verstappen in the box seat to win this Grand Prix. But will McLaren lose the car with old times out of the way to try and give Lando Norris his best chance of winning, McLaren's best chance of winning, and his first Grand Prix win since the opening round of the year? He'll still have a lot to do because Verstappen's pace in this Grand Prix has been really good. This is big stone repeats in Miami. They were the lap 1, turn 1. I mean, just that makes the Grand Prix for him. It's exceptional. It's was one of the great starting moves that Verstappen did to take the lead. But he's had the pace today as well, and I think he must have known that he was in with the stiff around this place. To turn off that move at the start, to go as daring as he did, he must have thought, it's like I can hit the front, I could stay at the front on this circuit, this lower deck, and overtaking is not that easy. Ollie Barron's allowed to unlock himself. He disappears, then he will join the back of the train. They were encouraging signs to Max Verstappen that his age advice and updated Red Bull. And the crucial thing he said is that the car now has a wider setup window, and he has a feel that he can trust behind the wheel, and we see it reflected on the lap times. He is able to manipulate that Red Bull around the corners of Imola in a way that we haven't seen. He does have an incredible record around here. And we will get a fight to the finish. That can Piastri stay there? Can he heap the pressure on? That is Red Bull's 400th Grand Prix in their 20th anniversary year of competition. DC was one of their drivers when they made their debut in Formula 1. He has made his way down to Parkson to introduce our top three. How much does Piastri, Joey, to risk and leave? Try and make a mistake for Verstappen to be hard to warm up, hold hard tires. They're degraded. You've got nice of a train off the tire as well. It is the hardest compounds out there. And then he's got his teammate with fresh rather than night. But this is a message the safety car was climbing in. Then he's been lit. But now the safety car lights are still on. He did quality because I've truth at the traffic looking clear. Another message that is there, but round goes the safety car for another lap, which Verstappen will not mind at all. Another one jumping down. 10 to go. It's not a lot of time for anyone to use the freshness of the tires and they've had up. It'll just be the warm-up and how quickly they get back into the working window. Well, we've got a really intriguing restart order. Verstappen has the lead. Safety car is coming in at the end of the lap. Here's the state of play though. Norris has fresh tyres compared to Piastri. Albon has fresh tyres compared to Leclerc. Hamilton has fresh tyres compared to George Russell. And Hedger has fresh tyres compared to Carlos Sainz. It could add up to an epic restart lap because there's a massive offset out there between the group available. It's been a fascinating race, I have to say. There's been a lot going on. Strategy ramifications the whole way through. A couple of safety cars that are shaking it up. 10 laps to go with still plenty of unknowns here. Hulkenberg, by the way, in the Sauber is up in 10th on a really used medium tyre, but they're throwing caution to the wind here. And he'll be hoping that he can hold off Yuki Tsunoda for a point. The first that they've had since Tsunoda. That's a more even battle. Tsunoda's on an old medium. He's got Gasly over the old hard. Also on an old hard. That's the fact for the fight on points. It's going to be hard to know where it's along, but it is going to be a finish worthy of this venue. You can see how much Max Verstappen is trying and dancing and weaving to generate that high temperature behind the safety jar. He will determine when we go back to full racing speed. Will he go early? Will he go as late as possible? Sitting duck, if you don't time it correctly, Oscar Piastri, he knows he's got one opportunity here. His teammate has fresher rubber. Big split between the McLarens. It's 6-lap old hard tires, but not raced at all for any lap by Lando Norris. It's 22-lap old hard tires and seriously raced around here. The safety car is gone. It is over to Max Verstappen to take us back to racing speed. Some leg run out of that's a 2, which is the second of these left handers. Max has gone early. He's clearing away. He had to go out as he uses a lot of cars, and Piastri checks the mirror to see where the car behind is. Wrong. Max Verstappen takes us back to full racing speed, building up to 190 miles per hour. Piastri unable to put any pressure on at all. He's in second, and time is being so thinking about the movie Sean McLaren. And will we now see the fresher tyres come into play? Oh, said that will not be key. In fact, Leclerc and the race is devoted in the top 10 next. Could be live. He was going to throw and lunge down the inside of Lando Norris and third. He could have been a turn up for the bets. Given he was worried that they could finish in the points. With 10 laps to go. Another one is ticking by them. And his status quo out front. Is there a chance for this is a pressure rabbit. This is what my talk here. Sadman, you know, because there's no trick on the outside of Terratella. And he couldn't do pressure on T4. This is under massive pressure from Hamilton behind. And now the fresh rubber is staying off onto that first traction zone. Through a few of the high-speed corners as long as that stayed out on the getting to Strawberry. So now we're going to go past Hulkenberg. That's the final point that we're giving out today in the Formula 1 World Championship. Franco, statics for the moment. I think that is about to change. And Aldin's been very close in the back to Hamilton. He'd be the first runs in the red. Sorry, is it Sainz? Yeah, Sainz. Finding himself, he's open on that cut. Which way? Oh, cool. Now let's see whether he can make the move. Let's see whether he can make the pass. He'll still continue on. Lap 25 and 63. Alex Albon, his best finish so far this year. And the safety car infringement has been noted between Norris and Albon. Could that be Lando Norris penalty 3 over Relish? Even though Alex Albon was ahead, just had to control one. DRS is enabled, and we're about to get Severus into Tamperella. Yeah, that is technically count as long as under safety button wasn't given back. Hold on a minute. Duty Sonoda at Diratella waits for Hulkenberg to commit to brush the gravel at that under and by to Fecha. Tasty stuff, really lovely from there from Sonoda. Really hold the bag into the defense in a quick corner and getting it by all the exit. So the only one that's supposed to make a move further ahead if Sonoda's 10th place then. But still, and all that is tucked in that line. Look just tucked in behind Russell. They are the ones that are on fresher tyres and have a chance to attack it. And Norris as well, on his teammate, Muscat Piastri. Piastri's done well at the restart. The DRS now enabled, and Norris has a 9/10 for the second gap. He has obviously have to use it. He by curving a bit more. So he's heading to the gravel there, out of the final corner. It's on the run. There's DRS now for Norris, and Piastri is into the hilly. Ringing the neck of the McLaren out of the final turn. Took to try this in the Formula 1 World Championship from May, second and third at the Grand Prix. The gap came down from 9/10 to a second to half a second. Momentum. But Norris would have vaulted, and he's stood out at Tamperella and heading into the lap. Yeah, we're getting no team orders, obviously, between the two McLarens. So maybe this is a fit like Japan. When the F3 was behind you, wanted a chance to create Norris to go and Verstappen, and McLaren said, you know what, you're not going to get there anyway. So we'll play it out between you two. This time, it's well with Enzo. Just up to still lead, just Norris behind Piastri. Norris is quicker, but he's going to have to do it on the track. Hamilton versus his old teammate appearance. Just needs the up and under. And then Russell makes the corner. Good defense there for Russell. That was similar to Sonoda. At the back with a pity drive, and Russell didn't find the gravel. Stop loads of grip them on the raise there of that Ferrari. 30 watts under big pressure. Russell's not missed that deal with day really in the Mercedes, but somehow has done himself back up to 6th place. I think he's going to have some serious defending to do into Tamperella next time now. Jake, now race control, and said there's no further investigation from Norris and Albon, so no matter who was ahead, that's doing no further. Hamilton in the left-hand side of your picture has a great run out of the second Ravanza corner. Mainframe, the top two drivers in the World Championship. Oscar Piastri starts today on 131, and Milo Norris 115. Change of position. And Lewis Hamilton sweeps up by. That wasn't much of a contest. That would get an encouragement. He was able to go straight past George Russell. Russell on the old hards, Hamilton on the new with the Ferrari 9 up to P6. Nice pass, too much grit then for Hamilton, and that was setting, wasn't it, really, to half a lap before as they went side by side into Piratana. You could do that. It shows you've got a low ball grid. And Albon is having a think to the code just off the road. The old tyres are fading here at different parts of the racetrack. You're not just with the use of DRS on the main straight. And it means that Piastri, who has been the championship leader for the last couple of rounds, has his nearest rival for the title closing in, and this will be his best opportunity to make the pass. This is really important to the championship, for the momentum and for pure points between Norris and Piastri. Oscar's been fantastic the first part of the season. Lando has got an opportunity here. The race drop between them has been quite obviously different. Piastri's been rewarded, Norris has been struggling. Now he's got a chance. He's got a chance right now to try and turn that right on fresher tyres. The McLarens about to go wheel to wheel. Lando Norris trying to go past Oscar Piastri, the only driver ahead of him in the World Championship, right on the outside of his teammate. That large margin, but it's complete. And Norris, he's able to get by the second position. Piastri stays in the wheel tracks, but there's no way through. And Lando Norris is the lead McLaren in the race. Brilliant moves. Brilliant moves from Norris there. All commitment, but around the outside, yes, it's not the pressure tyres, but he still had to execute it without running wide on the outside. Still, Piastri has sent that in deep as well on the defence. Wondered how Zach Brown wanted to feeding. He looks pretty calm there on the pit wall, but those two riding wheel to wheel, brilliant racing, and enough respect between them. In the end, great moves to Norris. Lewis Hamilton goes in. All the battle between Charles Leclerc and Alex Albon. Alex Albon has so much speed in the Williams. Out of Toza, climbing the hill to Piratella. It's just as no grip around the outside of that corner. That is the battle for fourth. Fish was the battle for second. And Lando Norris getting by. Yeah, now racing wheel to wheel. Norris was ahead coming into the corner. And, it's just getting mountains over that apex curve. This was tricky stuff there. Norris had done enough on the entry. Oscar didn't have the right to force him wide. And my word, he nearly did. But in the end, wheel-to-wheel started just about acceptable for some Farage and their turn team. They used to simply second that. Again, these two, they grew up together, climbing the ranks into Formula One, all the way from Charlton. Great respect between the two of them, but we haven't seen them go wheels and reel into with the one too many times. Charles Leclerc on ancient car tyres continues to keep the Williams behind. Yes, she's not disappeared on the road to these guys either, because when the players on his old hard tonguers, you will get out and clear Leclerc if he can put some pressure back in the Astri on his fresh horns at the end of this one. That it cannot make it past the Ferrari. Undertaking is just not easy around this place, even on the fresh tyres. Leclerc's been worried on his old tyres at the end. Hamilton's going to join them as well. And if the camera stays out wide, there he is, joined the pack, three-way now to ball place. And this should allow the Astri enough margin to maintain the podium. 5.4 seconds. I see Max Verstappen, he timed things wonderfully at the restart. Did what he needed to. He has begun at lap 60. And Norris 5 seconds back. The Astri will just trying pretty home for another podium. He's only missed the podium on one occasion so far this year. That is a heartbreak. He's out on own soil. Alex Hamilton's done a great job. Never higher than T5 in a Grand Prix this year. Trying to beat traffic. However, side of it took him back. Joy to the Norris. Jamaica at 5. Side, he was in the curve. It's like, no, I should get it. But it's going to be himself. It's sixth position, right? And as Hamilton goes straight off fifth. That's the jeopardy of the overtaker on the outside of Tamburello. Dalton had the space. And Klein is to just sit there around the outside there. Thought, look, yeah, hold on. Who was ahead of gate? Thanks, you're going to racing rules there. Because again, there was no space for Alex to hold on around the outside. Tough racing, difficult place to pass. Let's join it on board and out. And it was ahead coming into the corner. Now, those. From first, the racing little tide, the defending driver has their front wheel ahead of a mirror, the car on the outside, the defending driver no longer required to lead, and a house with that is, and then the driver standing tall for 2025. Hamilton, he would have been delighted when he saw this. In the nicest possible way. Alex Albon had to go to the pass. Couldn't sit there with a Ferrari on old tyres. Albon rejoins and Hamilton able to make his way by. Ferrari versus Ferrari. How much can Charles Leclerc fight his teammate? There was an absolutely equal set today, but it's been off finite riddles to the two jars, the two teammates. Then I'll struggle it out. And there is Hamilton goes from P6 to P5 to P4. Full of luck. What a day this has been. The Ferrari started 11th and 12th. There's been so many strategy ramifications at this one, but fundamentally, they've had great pace in the race, and Hamilton now clears up into more. With a few laps to go, he's not going to go and chase the Astri, I'm sure of that, with this part, as Leclerc has just mirror spin of Albon once more. Would have got Ferrari just off the podium as things done. Lewis Hamilton 3.7 seconds away. So I'll skip to the Astri. The Astri Dega, this guy for the bottom of the picture. And that's 61 to 63. And sometimes, yeah, single file races around here. Not today. Chris Sunshine, a glorious race. And can Albon make his way back for a season's best T5? Oh, he thought he had T4 for a moment. 3 laps that was in the making, and able to get by over the gravel. Here we go again. Yeah, so tucked in. Through reverts to 2. This is where you squeeze build the gas as soon as you possibly can. Oh, second down as they much faster, didn't they? Opens the DRS again. And we're going to get another opportunity. Tan and Albon finally makes his way around the outside. Not this time. Touch back in. Takes a lot of curb, which is risky around this place. Gonna break momentum as he comes out of Tampa, sliding around all the time in the test. Yeah. And he's not fancying the rear of the minor Norris pulled into that chicane earlier. And then he buys the dirty act through the quick chicane down. It's a tough one for the Carrera. But a vintage all loving there, shopping trolley coming out of Tozer, and that is why every single time Charles Leclerc is sort of comfortable interference at him. Yeah, he's just on no great grip anymore. Hamilton is absolutely cleared off away from his teammate now. But Albon cannot find the speed he didn't have. And enough of the run into that second chicane. And you can see the difference in the Williams compared to the McLaren earlier on when Norris pulled off the move on Russell into the second chicane. having that grip plummeted through the second two cars at Tamburello, the first time, through the left and the right. It was easier for Norris, and it was Brabham. He had to back out of it, and that was tricky. This under investigation, and I've wondered here, is Albon had done enough, I think, on the way into the corner, because he's attacking on the outside. This under investigation, Leclerc says has been told to keep back the position here to Albon. Well, the final after the round 3, and Alex Albon is able to get by. Charlotte conditions for the team instruction. Pulver your score. Surge the place of the campaign. He makes the move on the 63rd and last lap. Our race leader is through Tilla Peratella. The shooting Club Minerale. Great. Charlotte Leclerc's going to argue it afterwards. The team playing it by the book as not to risk a 5-second penalty and drop further down the order. What a frantic restart. You wouldn't know if you're Max Verstappen. Alfred, he timed things perfectly, and he knows this feeling before. Drifting down to the that turn. He makes his way around the final corner of the last lap. And Max Verstappen will return to the